Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Rebel Hearts. This is your host, Kristie Reeves. I am so excited you're joining us today. And as you know, Rebel Hearts is all about inspiring you to become the change that you want to see in the world. So I'm really honored about introducing today's guests. And it's actually been a couple of years that I got introduced to them through our dear friends Jay and Joy, who were on our first shows here on Rebel Hearts last year. And as you people know, I'm from Germany, and Germans tend to be really chocoholics. And I was a real chocoholic, and then I actually got into eating really healthy foods. And I'm like, what am I going to do with my chocolate over here, people? So when I met AnnaBlanca and Sage, and I tasted their amazing Addictive Wellness chocolate, I was completely hooked. So I'm really excited to talk about what these two amazing beings are creating and why and what is going on with their chocolate. But let me tell you a little bit more about them before we get them on camera. I'm going to start with Sage. Fueled by a passionate desire to help people live the ultimate life and create a better world, Sage studied raw and superfood nutrition as well as traditional herbal systems, especially Taoist tonic herbalism. He has worked with and trained under the world's leading master herbalists and nutrition and longevity experts in Costa Rica, Australia, Bali, China, and America. I love Bali. It's one of my favorite places in the world. Sage has developed products internationally and given lectures on peak performance nutrition in Australia, Bali, America, and France. His years of experience in this unique arena have allowed him to cultivate an unparalleled combination of cutting-edge nutritional and culinary expertise. Sage has started tonic elixir bars in 5-star luxury hotels in Paris and Sydney, serving longevity elixirs disguised as gourmet treats, introducing the novel concept of healthy indulgences to the market of world travelers. Isn't that amazing, Rebel Hearts? And let me tell you a little bit about the beautiful AnnaBlanca, who's sitting here on my right. Ever since being raised in the countryside of Hungary on a diet that consisted of foods such as bee pollen, fermented vegetables, and kombucha long before they became popular in the West, AnnaBlanca shared her passion for health and wellness throughout her world travels. She takes great pleasure in dancing, revitalizing her nervous system, swimming in the cold ocean waves with Sage, and looking out for the well-being of her family. Prior to launching Addictive Wellness with Sage, she worked with ESE Funds, a boutique financial services company based in London and LA, which focused on building startups in the alternative healthcare space. Rebel Hearts, allow me to welcome AnnaBlanca and Sage.
Thank you.
I am so excited you're here because, you know, what you two represent is not just, we're just making chocolate. Like, your chocolate is amazing and beautiful, but it's also such a mission. And as you know, we want to inspire people to find their passion and get on their mission and find their path. So why don't you share a little bit with us? And I think we're going to start with Sage over here. Yes. How you got into herbal tonics and studying all these amazing things that you studied.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Southern California, so not quite an exotic upbringing as AnnaBlanca had. But I had the unique situation growing up. I had an incredible family, and my house was a meditation center following the City Yoga lineage. The City Yoga lineage. Mm-hmm. And so, like, every Thursday night, people would come over for chanting Sanskrit mantras and spiritual talks and meditation. And so to grow up around that.
Amazing to grow up in that environment.
Just such a magical way to start out life. And I was a vegetarian growing up, but not necessarily a healthy vegetarian by any means. It was kind of like basmati rice and tofu 5 minutes a week. And my parents thought they were doing the best that they possibly could. You know, we were eating organic foods, and so that was really great. But of course, the rice and tofu is not necessarily the ultimate diet for the fullest life. So when I was 18, I got turned on to my first Superfoods, which in my case, there was this local guy who made this mix of like hemp protein and spirulina and chlorella and some other Western herbs like milk thistle and things like that. And I thought, okay, this is cool. I'll try this out. And I didn't know anything. I would blend it with like some frozen fruit and Tropicana orange juice. And I would just start feeling really good afterwards.
Amazing.
Like I had a little bit of detox going on and I just had this clarity after a couple of weeks. Like I would have it and I'd be like, whoa, I feel high, but really clear. And this is amazing. And it just got me thinking, if this has been out there all this time and I didn't know about it, what else have I been missing out on?
Yeah,
So
what else can I learn?
it just
people?
like shot me off down the rabbit hole of superfoods first, and raw foods and tonic herbs and nutrition. And the more I learned, the more I incorporated it into my life. The more I incorporated it into my life, the more I experienced the benefits and got more motivated to learn more. And it was just this beautiful cycle that kept on going forward.
That is amazing. And you know, that journey of discovery, I think it's so often that's what I'm finding with people. Like you have a, you know, you've walked your path for so long, and all of a sudden it's like something that you discover, and sometimes it happens, I don't want to say by accident, but by synchronicity, as the universe is guiding you, like you finding these things.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's my, origin story there for you.
And then how did you find the places that you studied at? Because you studied quite a few different practices and in a few different places.
Right. It was just kind of what the universe brought to me. At first I was still in college and was just kind of researching online and reading books and studying on my own, and because there's not a school where you can go to study in my in my knowledge, like real nutrition and the cutting edge. It's always going to be 10 or 15 years at best behind what is possible. And so I was passionate about studying on my own. And then, in my late teens, I was in Costa Rica and I learned how to make raw chocolate. And that was really a spark point for me because I was super into all of this. And for me, I didn't care how bad it tasted. I would drink it. If it made me feel good, it was going into my body. I didn't care how it tasted at all. But as soon as I tried to start turning friends onto this stuff, I realized if it doesn't taste good, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to help anybody if I can't figure out a way to make this stuff taste good.
Yeah.
And I realized that chocolate, with all its incredible nutritional properties in terms of minerals and antioxidants and neurotransmitters, made such a great gateway health food or superfood for people to start getting not just the cacao itself, which is an amazing ingredient in and of its own, but also the most amazing tonic herbs into people's bodies.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and chocolate is a great chick magnet too, right?
Yeah, well, that was also that
how you lured you in, AnnaBlanca?
Yeah. So I was
exactly. That's how you got me.
Hey, honey.
I was in college at the time, and definitely a part of the motivation of learning to make chocolate was, I could say to a girl like, hey, you want to come over and we can make some chocolate? And it didn't work really for quite a while, but it got me AnnaBlanca, and so it all worked out in the end.
You just had to perfect that recipe
Yeah,
to make it taste really good.
I needed to work on my recipe. Yeah.
You really, really got my attention.
There you go. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But tell us your story. How did you get on the path that you're walking on right now? I mean, reading about your background, I mean, having kombucha and fermented foods, it's like it's the hip thing in LA these days. But
Everything
that
was part of my childhood. I grew up in the countryside of Hungary, running around barefoot. Later, I found out that's grounding, which is great. We had everything fermented. We had raw foods. We had beef and royal jelly, kombucha almost all the time. But my dad told us, with the four of us siblings, that the jar that's there with floating weird shit in it, I'm sorry for my words, is monkey brain juice. So we were like, yeah, we live on monkey brain juice. This is fantastic. Even when we were going to school and we had to run around the tracks, and gave us this little vial of glucose and told us it's like special potion. So we learned how to open that and drank a little bit of glucose, and we were like, yoo-hoo, running around. So many different things that we had. I mean, we had even infrared light bulbs if you got headaches. As I mentioned, we went to the neighbors to bring home the raw milk. And we picked the fresh vegetables and the fruit in the garden. So when I eventually came to travel the world for 15, nearly 20 years, because I was modeling, my diet was not exactly fantastic. I was set up with a very strong and a great foundation. And it lasted me all the time when I lived on pizza, pasta, whipped cream, ice cream. Pretty much for a very long time. And I ran out of the good graces that I got at the beginning, and I was like sick. I got everything under the sun.
Wow.
And then came to LA, and I met a wonderful German nutritionist. Her name is Feline, and she put me back on track. And then when I met Sage, we just took everything to a whole new level. Because if you live with somebody who has the same intentions and the same desires to live a healthy lifestyle, we just help each other, support each other. And anything I would have needed with my health or whatever, we research together and then we fix it.
Yeah. And did you know about superfoods and medicinal mushrooms or anything, or even Chinese herbal tonics when you met Sage, or was that something you discovered in the process?
Well, I was a barfly at the Erewhon Tonic Bar.
Okay.
That's where we would be hanging.
We met at the Erewhon Tonic Bar. So when you can find a place like that where people are guaranteed to have common interests, it's a great filtration system to meet the right kind of person.
Yeah, so around the year, for about a year, I was already there. Like with all my friends, we just hang out, drinking the tonics, eating the amazing superfood ice creams. And then one day, there was this great party. Sage walked in. And you want to tell that story?
Okay, share the story with us, Sage. So
yeah, sure. So,
you walked in.
So
and
I just moved back from Australia, and there was an event happening at the Erewhon Tonic Bar, and this is in the heyday of the tonic bar.
And
It's
by the
more
way,
it's more of a juice bar now, but it was like the place to be.
Yeah.
at
And
the
just
time.
by the way, Rebel Hearts, Erewhon is this organic store that is just incredible. They have these incredible tonics and juices.
It's a trendsetter.
And blend. It's like it's a
trendsetter in the
trendsetter.
world,
So it's like it's the place to hang out and get good food. I actually had dinner there last night. So sorry, I
That's
just
all right.
want to do it for a little.
And Sage was developing things at the tonic bar eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had just moved back from Australia, and I walked in, and I saw AnnaBlanca standing there at the bar, and on principle, she was looking very beautiful. I had to go say hello, and it took her about 2 seconds to say, "How old are you?" I was like, I'm 22. And she's like, "Are you kidding me?"
No, you said I'm ageless.
No, that's right. No, I
ageless.
remembered wrong. Yeah. So I was really on my game more than I am right now, apparently. And I said, "Oh, I'm ageless." And she's like, "Oh, come on, just entertain me. How old are you?"
And I was like 22. Oh my God. And then I just kept coming to the tonic bar. He was working there, and we were friends for nearly a year.
And then we were more than
exciting.
friends.
More than friends. And honestly, Rebel Hearts, we were talking about this before because I've known these wonderful people for about a couple of years now. And it's so beautiful to see that co-creation and the love that is floating around over here. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, we love each other very much, and it's sort of getting better every year. So
And the love is in the chocolate.
That's right.
it goes right into the chocolate. You're completely right. Yes.
So talking about the chocolate and talking about what became Addictive Wellness, how did you get inspired to say, hey, we're going to make this chocolate and fill it with all these amazing herbal tonics and mushrooms and everything rich that is in it? What got you inspired?
The spark is all Sage, because he was the chocolate maker by the time I
Okay.
met him. Oh my God, you should have seen this list that I put together. I'm telling my girlfriends, I met this surfer. He's like a Kundalini and an Ashtanga, and he makes chocolate. And oh my God, you should see his blue eyes. And everybody's like, you made this guy up. That does not exist. I'm like, oh, yes, he does.
So the chocolate, from when I in my late teens, I learned to make it in Costa Rica first. As my knowledge about superfoods and tonic herbs especially deepened, I was able to incorporate that more into my chocolate making, and I also got better at the chocolate making itself over the years. And so it got better, in terms of potency, and it got better in terms of chocolate, which is also really important, right? Because if it was up to me, it wouldn't matter, but I had to make everybody happy. So it just one step at a time got better and better and better and better. And then I had a history of being on antibiotics in my teen years for skin issues. I didn't realize, it was because probably I was on a ton of carbs that I was, breaking out and having too much sugar in my diet. So, and doctors don't think about that. They just say, oh, yeah, well, I can put you on antibiotics and you can take them every day for the next 5 years, twice a day.
Yeah,
and
or some cortisone
trash your
cream,
microbiome. Yeah.
Crazy.
And so my microbiome was trashed.
Oh, my God.
And so for me, as a part of my recovery, being basically on what's called the body ecology diet, incorporating lots of fermented foods and probiotics, and
crowned.
and and keeping sugar to a very minimum, I needed to have, or I wanted to have a chocolate that was not just raw and incorporated all the best herbal ingredients, but was also sugar-free. And there was no chocolate out there that checked all those boxes. And in the first few years of making chocolate, I was sweetening it with honey because I hadn't perfected
Maybe
how to
Maggie
get it to
was
taste
making
really
it like
good
that.
as a sugar-free
Okay.
chocolate. So it was with honey when we first met. And then AnnaBlanca doesn't take no for an answer and really pushed me. She's like, come on, honey, let's do it. You can make it without any sugar. And so I did. And it got to the point where it's like, wow, this could really be ready to go out there in the world and become a product
When
and can
all
be the
your
start of a
friends
business.
and every family member is just like, I want to buy this. I want to buy this. Can we have more? Can I have? We had friends who kept like, when can we have the tonic elixirs? Because we had the elixirs ready before the chocolate. And then you get pushed and you go, well, let's do it.
And AnnaBlanca was enjoying the chocolate so much and having so much of it that we basically needed to get a more commercial setup to be able to produce this chocolate
More
just
raw
to keep
cacao.
up with your desires.
At one time, he actually went to China to do a great trip to look for the most potent herbs. And I was like, you're going to be away. I didn't know how to make the chocolate. Oh my God. I was like panic stricken.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? 3 weeks. I don't know. I run out of the chocolate he makes within a week. So, and I'm calling him like, I run out of the chocolate. He says, well, go to the fridge, go to the freezer, look onto this box. And then he just hit chocolate.
I had hid a bunch. I had hid in several spots. Like there was a,
Was your test?
I knew she would run out faster.
Yeah, so that's actually the main intention of our company is to have the most potent, purest, highest quality herbs that people can actually take every day.
Yeah.
Because not everybody, if someone buys it, is like, oh my God, this is god-awful bitter. This is horrible. What am I going to do with this? So, and the number one rule of taking herbs, is Ron T. Garden, the owner of Dragon Herbs, would say is compliance. Because if it's just shitting, I'm so sorry, talking too fast in here, sitting on your shelf, then it's not going to do any good in your body.
Yeah.
So you just put it in something great. We sneak it into the chocolate, we sneak it into our Elixir blends, and you can eat it and take it every day. The very high dose, very potent, beautiful herbs.
And why Addictive Wellness, your name? How did you come up with that name, guys?
Honestly, first we were Decadent Wellness, but then we had to change the name because somebody else already had a sugar-free chocolate called Decadent. And at the time we were like, oh, it was such a good name. But that was a blessing in disguise because we sat down and said, okay, we have to choose another name for our company. Why don't we pick something that would get a double take, almost like a purple cow theory. But also realized that the original meaning of the word addictive comes from the Latin addictionem. And it means to be devoted to your God, to be devoted to your loved ones.
Ah, that's
And
beautiful.
so that was the meaning of that word for centuries until I think like the end of the 19th century when opium came to Europe. And people started saying that, oh, this man is completely infatuated with this substance as if it was his lover. So, and that's when they started saying he is addicted. So slowly the meaning of the word changed.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh. I never knew that.
So we would love you to be devoted to feeling very, very well.
Amazing. What a great concept, and how to do it with with chocolate. And one of the things that in your process of discovering it, or even what you're talking about, it's I feel like we're really busting the myth over here that anything that is healthy for us, that is good for us, does not taste good.
Right.
And I mean,
It's a big one.
It's a big one. And I mean, I've been a vegetarian for more than 20 years, and I remember the first beginning, of tofu products and how bad it tasted, So I feel like, the health industry has come a long way since those first vegetarian or vegan options. So I want to actually go a little bit more into what you're putting in and why you're adding certain ingredients. So let's actually start with the cacao because most of the chocolate that I was raised on was processed cacao with a lot of white sugar. And probably a lot of artificial flavors. I cannot remember. So what is it about raw cacao that makes us feel so good? What does it do to us, and why raw cacao?
I remember when Sage first explained to me why we are making the cacao raw. And I was like, oh, explains a couple of things.
So in really high quality raw cacao, you're going to have very high levels of magnesium. It's the highest natural source of magnesium, which is the number one mineral that Americans, about 80%, are chronically deficient in. And then chromium, the number one trace mineral that about 80% of Americans are chronically deficient in. Cacao is the number one natural source of chromium. And then you also have really interesting neurotransmitter compounds in cacao, like serotonin, anandamide, phenylethylamine. This is called the love bliss chemical because it's what's secreted in your brain when you're in love. These are very heat sensitive.
Here you go.
So a lot of these are damaged or deteriorated by the roasting process that traditional, conventional chocolate undergoes. And cacao makes a great delivery system for all these herbs that we put in it because it is what's called an MAO inhibitor. So it allows the herbs to stay in your body for longer. And it's also a vasodilator. So actually when the herbs are coming in, it kind of drives them deeper into your system.
That's amazing. And I think one of the things I read about raw cacao compared to processed cacao, because when I eat your chocolate, I need, I'm so satisfied after a few bites. And I remember when I had the processed cacao, you feel like you need to stuff down more, like a whole bar or 2 bars in order to get a little bit of that satisfaction that I'm getting from like your little treats.
Yeah.
It's not very nutrient dense.
Yeah, so it's like everything is kind of being pulled out, but then our body kind of knows like the minerals that are in there. Even, the something like serotonin that makes us happy, that releases the happiness hormone in our body. To actually have it in such a pure state that you're feeling happy after eating chocolate.
Right. It's so nice to have something so powerful and so pure in a way that's minimally processed.
Yeah, and then tell us more about what kind of ingredients are you putting in.
So in each of our different chocolates and also in our elixir blends or drink mixes that we make, we use a combination of different Chinese and Ayurvedic herbs, and also we're now incorporating some Thai herbs into some of our new chocolates as well. So for example, one of our favorites is Reishi Mushroom.
Oh, I love Reishi Mushroom.
This is the most...
herb of immortality and spiritual potency.
There you
I
go.
heard that, I was like, give it to me now.
So I like to say it's not overtly psychedelic, but it does have real spiritual effects. It is traditionally said to help guide you around the obstacles standing between you and enlightenment. So it's kind of like enlightenment and GPS. It really it gets you out of your head and into your heart. And of course, it also works in more scientifically measurable ways as well, in terms of enhancing immune intelligence and decreasing stress and improving adaptability, supporting the adrenals. But with the bit of a feel I have for your audience, like the what they call the Shen effect of Reishi in the Chinese system.
What is
that it's where it's working on your spirit. It's allowing your light to shine brighter. It's making you not worry about not you don't sweat the small stuff, and you just take on a more peaceful nature.
That is amazing.
I call Sage my bottle of Reishi. I'm stressing, I just hug him. I'm like, oh, he's my bottle of Reishi.
That is amazing. And I heard something about the Reishi babies.
Actually, I can talk to you about firsthand. My sister, Sophie, when she got pregnant, she came to LA to visit us, and then her and her husband met Sage, and he gave her some very amazing reishi. And now she has 2 boys, age 2 and 5, and they are incredible reishi babies. First of all, they are so focused, so present. They look at you, they feel like so full of love and light, and they laugh all the time. Like, they pretty much come out in a Buddha pose. And it doesn't mean that they not mischievous boys and everything, but their health and their little spirit and their nervous system it seems like it's completely unassailable.
Of course, we do have to put in the little caveat, like before doing anything during pregnancy, you have to talk to your doctor.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Say that. I only say that what I would say to my sister.
Yeah, because again, so many things you cannot take during pregnancy.
Right, it's a very sensitive time.
Yeah, it's
a lot of herbs you cannot
topic,
take. Like gingerbs, if I get pregnant, I will take gingerbs, but no other other herbs.
Yeah. So going back to the reishi, so anything else you want to tell us about reishi?
Absolutely. So, that kind of covers on reishi. I mean, it's working on all levels. It's what they call a 3-treasure herb in the Chinese system. It's building your deep core reserve energy. It's building your moment-to-moment energy and also your spiritual energy. So that really covers it. And then another one that we have that builds that adrenal reserve, kind of like your energy savings account, is Shou Wu. And so
okay.
this is like replenishing that deep core vitality when you've been burning the candle at
Yeah,
both ends,
yeah.
and you don't necessarily want to go in and start immediately stimulating yourself to produce more energy at that time, but rather you've been living off your savings account essentially when it comes to energy. And so instead of just like depositing just in your checking account, you got to replenish the savings.
Yeah.
Right. Like we start out in the Chinese system, we start out life with a certain amount of this reserve energy. You inherit it from your parents.
Yeah.
Some people more, some people less. And it just depends. And then if you're using this up, if you eventually run out, that's the end of your life. So replenishing what they call the Jing, it's your deep levels of vitality, is so essential to having a long and powerful and wonderful life.
People, nowadays nutrition is not very high, don't sleep well enough, we're stressing out so much.
Yeah.
Actually, in December, we came out with a chocolate. It was a new one, brand new. It's the baby chocolate now.
Okay.
It's called Recharge, and it has the
uh-huh.
most potent herbs to replenish your Jing.
That is amazing.
It became the most popular in
Yeah.
a very short time.
And
We
how
all need it.
amazing to have these herbs accessible to us, because again we're in LA, we're recording this in LA, and everybody's always stressed out, everybody's always busy, and
so much.
and we're so used to really running down our batteries until nothing is left over.
Right.
And then we're looking for this sort of, okay, what now? What am I going to do now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what an
You just push and
incredible
push and push
thing.
and push.
But think about these herbs have been studied for 4,000 years.
Yeah.
Been used and studied, and never before in the history of the world we had what we have here in the States, or even here in LA, all these Ayurvedic herbs, Thai the herbs from Thailand, or Chinese herbs.
Yeah.
And I remember talking with Sage, and he said never before they've been available even in China at the same place all through the seasons. So we have a very unique opportunity to combine all of this together and then just give it to you in a small box.
That's amazing. And it's so beautiful. My dad is going to be 82 this year.
Oh, bless him. What a
And
good
I got
age.
him on reishi mushrooms a couple of years ago, and they're still pretty hard to get in Germany. So every time I go there for his birthday and for Christmas, he gets mushrooms.
Yeah.
And I
So
now have
good.
my mom on lion's mane, and I bring all these
Oh,
mushroom
nice.
mixes to Germany, and he's loving it. He takes a little, and he actually takes it in water, and he takes a tablespoon or half a tablespoon every day.
Well, that's a solid dose.
Yeah, he has
Whoa,
a really good
tablespoon. He
dose.
doesn't
Yeah,
mess
yeah.
around. That's wow.
I know,
Wonderful.
yes.
Go, Papa.
It's interesting because tell us about lion's mane. I love
Yes,
Okay,
a
tell
lion-
us about lion's
yes, a
mane.
lion's
I love
mane.
One of my
lion's mane.
favorite
Lion's
herbs
mane,
ever.
it's one that we have in our focus chocolate and also in our elixirs. And it's one of AnnaBlanca's favorites, as she said. And it's, even though it sounds like a non-vegan ingredient, it's totally vegan. It's
And
just a
it's
mushroom.
Beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It's a beautiful white mushroom that kind of looks like a lion's mane. And it is one of the most incredible nootropic herbs. It's for brain health and enhancing cognitive
Yeah.
function. And I know AnnaBlanca has a line that she loves to share about it. You wanna
Okay,
go
share
for it?
with us.
It
Sorry. I wasn't
Here,
even playing.
it
but-
replenishes the myelin sheath around the axons of the nerves. So the myelin sheath is like this fatty layer that covers your nerves and protects them, which is great, first of all, for neurodegenerative situations. And it also, the more myelin you have, the faster the nerve signals can actually travel.
gosh.
So your whole nervous system can start to work better.
How amazing.
Yeah.
How amazing. And I heard that lion's mane is also really supportive with people with Parkinson's and any kind of neurological diseases, right?
Right. It's amazing the kind of studies that are going on with it, and the amount of focus being put in that direction
Yeah,
now is
yeah.
really exciting.
Amazing. Amazing. So what else? Let's talk a little bit. I'm so
Yeah,
excited
yeah,
about
yeah.
it. I'm like, and this is all in chocolate. So what
So
else?
let's talk about another brain herb, ashwagandha.
Ashwagandha.
Another one of our favorites, and it's one that we recently actually found a newer and even better source for. It costs us like 3 times as much as what most people pay for ashwagandha,
Okay.
but we don't care. We didn't change the price of our
Yeah.
chocolate. We just like
It is
if
so
I can
good.
find a way to spend more money on ingredients, I always do. It actually I get excited
I
about
am
it.
super excited about ashwagandha because just growing up, I ate a lot of sweets, and I got a lot of mercury in my mouth because I grew up in Eastern Europe.
And you had mercury fillings too.
Mercury
yeah.
fillings, yes. So all the amalgams and mercury, of course, it does quite a bit of damage in your brain. And there were a lot of studies that show that ashwagandha rebuilds the neurites, the damaged neurites.
Oh my gosh.
So if you
it is-
imagine that you have like these tree branches in your brain of your whole neural net, and with mercury in the brain, they kind of die back and wither back. With ashwagandha, they've actually been shown to grow back the opposite direction and come back to life.
That is amazing. I have to do more ashwagandha now that you said that, because I had the mercury fillings and I was so affected by it. It was actually stopping my growth hormones.
Wow.
Oh,
Once I put it in, like I was this height when I was 13. I was the tallest growing glass, and then my growth hormones got stopped from all the mercury fillings that I had. So wow, ashwagandha.
Well, we'll
Yeah,
talk
and beyond
afterwards.
that, ashwagandha
Yeah.
is really one of the greatest adaptogenic herbs. It's bringing down stress, so it makes you feel peaceful, but at the same time, it improves energy and endurance. So you're simultaneously peaceful and invigorated, which is like what better state could you ask for?
Yeah.
And they're actually showing great results for people who are into athletics as well, in terms of how it helps to burn fat and build lean muscle. It's ashwagandha is so amazing all around.
That's amazing. Now, how do you pick which herb or which mushroom goes into which chocolate? How did you come up with, the focus chocolate is going to have this and the tranquility is going to have that?
Well, they have to. Sage is such a master at this. First of all, you have to make sure that you can get a good high dose in it. So, because someone says, "Oh, I like this tranquility chocolate. Let me try it." But if they don't get the benefit and the effect, why would you buy it again?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So it has to have has to work with the taste, the purity, the strength, and of course the intentions of the mushroom. So the way he works on this, it's mind blowing.
Yes, we created different chocolates for different things to get people excited, because
Yeah.
having chocolate is fun, but if you can get excited from a health perspective as well, like why not? And so, we have different chocolates like focus chocolate, tranquility chocolate, energy chocolate.
I love chocolate.
Yeah, love chocolate. when you want to get romantic, you got the aphrodisiac chocolate.
The love is really sweetly aphrodisiac. I call it Valentine's Day in a little box. And then we have beauty and we have recharge.
Yeah,
And we have energy.
right. And so it's, as she mentioned, flavor has to, of course, be taken into consideration. And for example, like holy basil is one of the greatest adaptogenic herbs, especially for stress. I really wanted to put it in our tranquility chocolate, but it just doesn't work flavor-wise. I tried so hard. Holy basil is really quite tasty on its own, but its flavor is so different than chocolate, and it just kind of takes over the flavor. So it becomes like, it looks like chocolate, but it just tastes like holy basil.
Yeah.
So that one didn't make the cut.
Holy basil is
we love
tough.
sharing about holy basil because it's great for people to have in their personal lives, but it just didn't work out.
Have it as a tea
chocolate-wise.
with the chocolate.
Right. Yeah. Or you can get the capsules and like there's some great like gel caps and you can just like bite them open almost and just like suck out the stuff in there, and that's like, whoa, you feel amazing.
Yeah. And I worked many times with Chinese, traditional Chinese medicine doctors, and I remembered having to take these Chinese herbs who are so good for you, but they taste so horrible because especially you have to put it in hot water and.
Oh, they make you make a tea and then you're supposed to
Exactly,
drink it.
they drink it. I'm like,
Yeah.
So I'm like, to actually see tonics or Chinese herbs in chocolate and it's actually tasting
Right.
good. I'm like, what magic?
Oh, and the elixirs. Have you tried elixirs?
Yes, we tried the elixirs, and
Those are good fun.
we are actually been using the elixirs to make our morning smoothies. We've been putting them into our morning smoothies, and it's so good.
Yeah. So that was the idea behind the elixirs. I wanted people to be able to have these tonics like we used to make at the tonic bar, where you have all the most potent herbs in a custom drink, and it's creamy and it's delicious, and people can't believe that this level of potency and amazing ingredients actually tastes good. And so I wanted to create a totally foolproof way that's super easy for people to make it at home. So it's just like, as long as you can put this and a bit of unsweetened almond milk or coconut milk into a blender, hot or cold, like you can do it. And really enjoy
That's
these amazing ingredients.
And these elixirs are pretty new for your company, right? You just released them.
Yeah,
was
just
it
came
like
out a
last
few months
year?
back.
A few
Yeah,
months
just last
back.
year. Yeah.
And tell us what elixirs you have available for us.
Yeah, so whereas with the chocolates, we went for different functional varieties, here we opted for different flavors. And so they all have the function of kind of like focus and energy. It's something that people are really resonating with these days, especially. And so we do different flavors. We have one that's cacao, one that's caramel, and one that's chai.
Oh,
I'm like-
I am
and
really
every single
proud
one
of
is
the chai
amazing.
one because we were searching to find a chai mix that was organic, non-GMO, no
Yeah.
hidden secondary ingredients, which like a lot of mixes have
And
that.
sugar-free.
And
And
sugar-free,
completely
yeah.
sugar-free, caffeine-free. Does not exist. Did not
does not
exist.
exist,
So
no.
Sage created the chai spice. Oh my God, it's so good. That mix is so good.
It is so good.
Oh wow,
And
mind-blowing.
you just started mentioning something which I so love about your chocolate. And you mentioned it earlier. It is sugar-free. And
it was so important.
tell us what does sugar do in our body, and why it is so important to go sugar-free.
Okay, I go for why, and then you do what.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, want to start with the why?
Well, we both live a sugar-free lifestyle. Of course, we love fruit once in a while, but no other sources of sugar. And more people have sugar-sensitive conditions. And I'm talking about some serious diseases like cancer and diabetes to something as simple as candidiasis, which you cannot have sugar in any of those.
Yeah.
And a lot of diets, like a ketogenic diet, you don't have any sugar on those. So it's becoming more and more popular. And people who have allergies and any other autoimmune diseases, you just don't want to have sugar. And it was just also, ladies, we are paying more and more attention to our beauty and not just putting the cream on your face, but you're understanding that what's aging you inside.
Yeah.
And sugar and
Sugar
glycation, it's not your friend.
Yeah.
Sugar equals wrinkles. So we don't want that. We are very proud because our chocolate, at UCLA's Integrative Oncology Department, they've been selling our chocolate to the cancer patients for pretty much since we started our company.
That's
and that to us,
amazing.
it means so much. My own dad passed away from cancer. So just being able to have it available there and the cancer patients just, you know, I have a treat and I know that this is something I'm allowed to have.
And I feel like, you know, whenever I buy a new brand, I read through the whole label before I choose to buy it.
Yes.
And there's so many brands that have some kind of sugar in it. Or it's like a superfoods bar, but then there's sugar in the
Right, like
chocolate
they'll say
chips.
like
So
highly
Yeah.
mineralized coconut palm sugar, but like how many minerals are really in there?
Yeah.
And like, can I just get that benefit from eating actual food? And it's still sugar.
Yeah, yeah.
And how many
exactly.
names sugar has? Like 30 different names, and you
Yeah.
just have to like educate yourself
Yeah.
and read the sugar
Yeah,
content.
yeah.
Because let's say they say, oh, it contains 2 grams, but if you look at it, contains 2 grams by serving, and it has 6 servings. So if you eat it,
Yeah.
how much are you actually getting?
Yeah,
So back to you.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sugar.
So I mean, you really covered it there. I don't know what more.
What sugar
can
does
add.
in the body?
You just said glycation and aging and
Okay.
causes inflammation.
Inflammation,
It provokes
yeah.
you know, all kinds of different sugar sensitive conditions that people have. It's gonna. It's basically food for the bad bacteria living that maybe you may be harboring in your body, and you're going to be hard pressed to find a situation where you can say, you know what you're missing to get healthier? You need some sugar.
Exactly. Spoonful of sugar.
Yeah, Mary Poppins can get away with it, I
Yeah.
think, but
Exactly. And you know,
magic.
I've been working on documentaries on the Indigo Rainbow Children, and some of the interviews I've done have really shown the correlation between sugar and all the disorders that we're experiencing in psychiatry nowadays, from ADD to ADHD and anxiety disorders, because sugar is also really affecting, you know, because it affects
gut,
our
yes.
gut, and our gut is our second brain.
Right.
And when our gut is being affected, it affects our nervous system.
so many people don't understand how many happiness hormones and are being made in the gut.
Yeah.
So if you get depressed, I would go for the gut to heal your gut first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course you end up with the blood sugar ups and downs, and you wonder why kids are like super crazy one minute and like dead depressed the next.
Yeah.
Well, there's your blood sugar
It's a
cycle.
blood sugar up and down. Yeah.
So crazy.
I actually have a dear friend and whose son was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, and she went on the Feingold diet with him, which is an elimination diet, and just like took certain ingredients out of the diet, and it was actually the ingredients such as sugar or, you know, artificial coloring that was actually creating the attention deficit disorder. The moment she took him off, the kid became quiet and focused.
It's incredible.
It's just really, really amazing.
It's nice
Yeah.
to hear of parents who take the time like this and then care so
Yeah.
much. Thank you.
So my next question is actually, because first of all, thank you for sharing about all these amazing ingredients and putting this all together for us into a good tasting, amazingly tasting chocolate. So how has this journey of you know, really getting people addicted to health changed your own life, or even affected the life of the people around you?
Well, the effect of the life on the people around us has been that we're working so much they don't get to see us anymore, but they get lots of chocolate to make up for it.
Exactly. So we are forgiven. We show up in the chocolates and we are forgiven.
You know, when you have a startup business, like
Yeah.
you have to, it's like having a kid basically. You know, the
No,
first couple years.
triplets, baby.
Well,
Newborn
yeah,
triplets.
it's like the first couple of years, it can't really do anything on its own. And then even when it starts to be able to walk on its own, then you have to like, whoa, watch out. Like now you're mobile and you can go do crazy stuff. I got to make sure you don't run out in the street. So, you know, our business is just over 3 years old. So it's kind of getting to be able to walk around on its own now. And we just got to make sure it doesn't go do some crazy stuff or like knock over any furniture and things like that. But it's been very much in a stage where we're like full-time parents of the business, you know?
Yeah. And is it like, you know, people around you might have not eaten as healthy as they have before, like seeing what you're creating, and again, how healthy, how good does healthy chocolate taste, or how good can it taste? Have people gone like, oh my gosh, you're really teaching me that, you know, to pay attention to these things and to eat healthier.
You teach by example.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you give it to someone and then they go like, oh my God, this actually tastes amazing. Can I do this? And yeah, of course. One of my sister is a bulletproof coach. Other one is a teacher. And then they're also giving forward all the information they're getting from us. And what is incredibly touching, every single day, we have reviews that we get on our website. We actually get personal emails with stories that I will never forget that letter when we got during our Kickstarter campaign from a gentleman, and I actually was bawling. Oh, it was so touching. And also we get a lot of posts and Instagram stories. And what they write on it, I just go like, oh my God, thank you,
It's
thank
so
you,
touching
thank
to
you.
see
Thank you.
how
And we write back to everybody individually. A thank you note, every single person. At the beginning, I was able to be done in 20 minutes. Now it takes about 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
But we never take it for granted, the support and the love we get. We will never take it for granted. And living in that state of gratitude, actually, I think it's propelling our business forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, how have you been feeling more inspired in your life? Because it feels like when you talk, when I see you and you talk about your chocolate, and you know, it feels like you're so on purpose with what you're creating. How is it to live a life that is just like so?
I never knew I could have a purpose like this. I remember growing up and then, of course, traveled the world. I had lots of fun, lots of adventures, and I was always crazy about chocolate. And then this guy shows up in my life, and he brings my purpose and love and chocolate. I mean,
all the chocolate you can eat for the rest of your life.
honestly, if someone would have told me this when I was 14, I could have saved a lot of heartaches. But you know, then
You would
probably
have had to wait around being single for a while.
I would have.
You had to wait until Sage perfected his chocolate recipes, so
Yeah,
the chocolate tasted really good.
if somebody would have told you, if you wait this long, but you will end up with a limitless supply of fat-burning chocolate.
And then that's, you know, coming from this perfect man. I would have never believed it. Actually, you know, I forget it. It would have been like, yes, someone is pulling my leg. Yes, but that's very important.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, you know, for me, it's like I'm getting to live the dream of being Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory. So it's like, what more inspiration do you need than that? It's
Yeah.
And we are our own
such a fun
bosses.
feeling.
It's a very difficult path we've chosen. We decided not to take on investors. So we are just doing a very organic growth. Like each month, whatever we grow our business, we put it back into our business. Because let's say if you had an investor and Sage says, hey, I just found this incredible ashwaganda that costs 3 times the amount what we usually put in there, but what do you think of that?
Yeah.
An investor would have said, are you crazy? I'm not allowing that. But we can. We can just constantly innovate and constantly improve, and we don't answer to anyone.
Yeah.
And we take hug and kissing breaks in that office every half an hour. And nobody's telling us what to do. So, of course, we work so much, like crazy long hours, but we are our own bosses.
Yeah.
And we make all the decisions, which direction we go.
That
and
is amazing.
that's priceless.
Yeah. And not to get to co-create. It's just like so
Right.
beautiful to see.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how most couples are lucky if they get an hour or two together in the evening for a dinner and maybe like some cuddle time. But we are literally together all day long. And so we've been together nearly 6 years, but it's kind of like, if you just count it by the hours, whoa, we've been together for quite a while.
It's like an 18-year relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
You have the same thing, darling.
I do have the same thing.
We are so
Yes.
blessed. I so love this.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I just would love you to give maybe some kind of, little action step or some advice for our listeners who are saying, I am so inspired by Sage and AnnaBlanca, and I've been eating really a lot of bad food, a lot of junk food. I want to improve my lifestyle. I want to eat healthier. Besides eating Addictive Wellness chocolate every day and drinking the elixirs, what other action steps or small steps would you suggest our audience can take to incorporate a healthier lifestyle?
I would say number one rule, but I figured out, but everybody has their own preferences. Don't set yourself up for failure. I think on like, as of tomorrow, I'm not having this. As of tomorrow, I am cutting this out, and they go completely cold turkey.
Yeah.
I would say choose something that you can add to your diet, one thing,
Yeah.
and stick to that and wait a month. Something that actually would show the benefit. And then when you stick with that and you start feeling, whoa, I feel the difference. This is inspiring. Like what happened with Sage and when he first discovered something and he was like, whoa, okay, now this is incredible. I want more of this. I love that feeling.
Yeah.
And then you can slowly add the next step and the next step and the next step. And when you have so many great new things added to your life, it's going to overcrowd the bad crap. If may I say that word on
and
radio.
I think
It's beautiful. Thank you.
you just, to add on to that, you start with what's exciting to you. And that's going to be different for everybody, because different people find different things fun, and they have, maybe a different situation with their health where something is more interesting than something else. Like maybe for somebody, it's buying a rebounder, a little trampoline, and bouncing up every day to get your lymph moving and strengthen your skeletal system and your skeletal muscles. Maybe for some people, it's taking some of the herbs we mentioned, like Ashwaganda or Shou Wu. Maybe something like Schisandra berry, which is beautifying, but also very cleansing on the inside as well.
Delicious.
And very tasty. Maybe for some people, it's taking ketone, sea minerals. Maybe for some people, it's just eating more healthy fats in their diet. There's so many different starting points, and if you just kind of pick the one that's most exciting to you, and you think, oh, I want to try that. That sounds like fun. I'm really interested. You start there, and then once that just becomes kind of an automatic part of your day, then you go for the next most interesting thing.
This is such amazing advice from both of you. I'm like, because I think that is really the missing ingredient a lot of people have who want to change their lifestyle.
Yeah.
But it feels like hard or heavy or burdensome, or even as if they're depriving themselves from all the, because our bodies get used to certain kind of foods, and if you change it overnight, it's like your body's going like, oh, I'm not feeling really happy anymore. But to find the joy and to find what excites you, like, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, because there's so many things that you can do, and it can be intimidating when you hear about all of them, because you think, oh, I have to do all of that to be healthy?
Yeah.
Whoa, I don't know if this is for me.
It's
You just start with one thing.
Yeah.
Just start with one thing,
Yeah.
and you go from there and do it at a sustainable pace.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
recently
amazing.
my brother was been living next to my sister in Portugal, and she is a bulletproof coach, and she identified after all these years, he's 39 now, that he has gluten allergy as well. He has celiac. And so she just kept giving him great dishes and everything beautiful, and his entire life changed. He says, I have no more brain fog. Puffiness went from his face. His eyes cleared out. He has beautiful energy. He's more functional than he's ever been. One thing, just one thing
Just
changed.
one thing.
So
That's
you never know.
amazing. You
And
never
I
know.
also like all this, like, the January 1st. Also, January 1st, I'm changing my life.
Yeah.
And they have this huge program, and then they go, whoa, I'm busy. I'm
Yeah.
a mother. I can't do all of that stuff. Just. And also, I think families, if they do it together, because if just one family member tries to make the change and doesn't get the support from the others, I think that also doesn't go that far. So.
Absolutely. And then how beautiful to raise children with that new concept.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing. So what inspires you the most about the path you're on right now?
We inspire each other. And just hearing how when people have the chocolate or make little changes in their lifestyle and how much they benefit from it, or like I give a talk recently on hormone health, and we got messages from people say, oh, I implemented some of the changes you recommend, and it's totally had a tremendous effect on my relationship. Just
my
things
God,
like
I
that.
took a screenshot of
when you
that.
hear that the little actions you do actually have this ripple effect of benefiting so many people in such beautiful ways. That's all the inspiration one could ever ask for.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So adorable.
I love that.
No, you just actually got me curious. What advice did you give them?
Oh,
about the
well,
hormone health?
do we have another hour to hang out in like episode 2?
Like 3 minutes? Or just like one piece?
Hormone health goes beyond just your nutrition. It goes really into how you behave in your relationship and having a partner that supports your hormonal needs, because the hormonal needs of a man and a woman are very different. For example, a woman needs the good estrogen and progesterone to be calm, but especially oxytocin is a woman's quote-unquote drug to be de-stressed and feeling good. If a man gets oxytocin, it's helpful, but too much will actually stress him out and make him not feel so great. For a man, testosterone keeps your stress down. So you need to recognize in a relationship that things that a woman does to build up her oxytocin, it's great. Like as a guy, I'm really supporting her in lots of cuddling time and all kinds of things like that will build oxytocin. Having her spend time with her female friends to discuss all of her problems, that will build oxytocin, that kind of bonding. For me as a guy, when I'm stressed, I don't want to talk about my problems. Imagine, traditionally, women were doing more of the harvesting and the gathering, and they were able to just be safe and talk as they're gathering the berries or whatever it may have been. Guys are out hunting. They were very silent. If guys are talking, the tribe where the guys would talk loudly about their problems while trying to hunt, they died because they didn't get any food. That lineage didn't get passed on. So as guys, if we're doing physical things and problem solving and being active, but not necessarily talking a lot, that will build our testosterone. And then we can come back into our relationship, testosterone build up, and be more fully present and there and supportive of our
I just
partner.
let him to go off. He goes up surfing, or he just goes and just be silent and processing. And happy when he comes back.
Yeah,
no
we
stress.
said the man cave, it is a testosterone factory.
Okay.
That's where the testosterone gets made. That's why that place exists.
That's amazing. That was a little detour over here, but I'm so glad you brought it up. I'm like, what fabulous information. Thank you for
I'm so
sharing
glad we got
that.
to touch on that. Yeah.
So before we get we're getting close to wrapping up over here. So before we do that, is there any kind of message you have for our audience? Anything final that and I would love for both of you to have like a final message or a final share.
Yeah, I'd just love to thank everyone for spending this time with us. This is your life, and it's a limited resource that you have. So to share it with us right now, that's really kind and generous of you, and I really appreciate that. And I just hope this has been beneficial for you in some way or another. And I hope you have a life full of love and health.
Yay! Thank you.
I really like what he said. Honestly, if you got this far and you listen to the whole thing, you have our gratitude. And I wanted to say that you never know when you're going to stumble on what your purpose is in life. Don't give up, because it can come from the most unlikely source. Like the way, Kristie, you found this, doing the Rebel Hearts. Out of the blue. For me, I meet this beautiful young man at the Erewhon Tonic Bar, and now we are making chocolate. So I think just to stay open and welcome adventures and venture out of your comfort zone. Don't shut yourself in and be scared. I think that would be one of my main, because to me, all my life, I've embraced adventures.
Yeah.
So, and I'm extremely happy and have a really fulfilled life. So maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but if you think I'm speaking to you, go for it.
That was beautiful. Thank you. This is our Rebel Hearts message. You just nailed it.
Perfect.
Thank you. And I want to just highlight one more last thing before we wrap up over here. You actually donate some of your proceeds to environmental organizations.
important.
Share really quickly with us about that.
I think my spirit animal is bees. I'm really, really passionate about bees. Even when I was growing up as a kid, wasps and bees, we were just playing with them. They would come and sit. I actually only buy bathing suit that has beads on the top of the bathing suit because anytime we go out, maybe we somewhere to swim in Ojai, the beads come and land on my bathing suit.
The bees land on the beads.
The bees land on the beads.
Pronounce that carefully so everybody understands.
And they drink the
The
water.
BEES land on the the BEADS.
Yes. My darling is really used to my Hungarian accent, and there are moments when it really has to translate. And I'm like, honestly, I'm breastfeeding bees. And I'm really passionate about them. And it is heartbreaking how much they're being decimated. Heartbreaking. One of my dearest girlfriend actually has a company called Beekeepers Naturals. So both her and I are very, very passionate about bees. And we give a part of our proceeds to Paul Stamets research that they're trying to use mushrooms to help the bees to raise their immune system.
Amazing.
Yeah, and so this is, as far as we know, the only planet that has chocolate, and that's really important to us. And so we would like to preserve this planet, and so we try to really identify some of the core issues going on and the organizations that are doing meaningful work in this area. So, for example, Paul Stamets' bee-friendly work is amazing. And then we support organizations like Friends of the Earth, who goes more through a legal pathway to deal with some of the big challenges going on in Oceania, who's focused on the oceans, because if the oceans die, everything else goes down from there.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's super important to us, and it just makes everything feel right.
That's amazing. Thank you. What a beautiful way to give back. So what is next for you? What is your big vision, your big mission?
Woo!
Woohoo!
Let's take it away, darling.
You
should see our house. The entire hallway is covered with color-coded Post-its.
Of things that we want to do, right? So there's new
it.
product ideas, there's new markets that we want to get into. We're getting to be in a good percentage of the area of the U.S. right now, but we want to also expand internationally and just to be able to reach and touch more people. And we do a lot of educational stuff through our YouTube and Facebook, and so we want to grow and expand that as well.
That's one of the things I want. I'm sorry for interrupting. When you were asking of like a good first steps, we have some great recipes for delicious treats, ice creams,
amazing.
puddings, things like that on our YouTube channel.
So people
it's
subscribe.
good. And they are like really nutrient dense.
Perfect.
And he was mentioning Shizandra berries earlier. The Shizandra berry raspberry ice cream is like, I can have that for dinner any day. And he makes it for me for dinner.
Nice.
Yes, sorry, I interrupted.
Just as my brain was not obvious.
So that's the
anyway.
future for us. We want to just enlarge our impact in the world in as beneficial a way as possible.
Yeah. And how beautiful to educate people about, what you're doing.
It's a lot of fun.
Thank you. So now where can our audience best find you or find your products? I know you can order through the website.
Right. So we're addictivewellness.com. And then if you want to check us out on social media, we're Instagram.com/addictivewellness, Facebook.com/addictivewellness, and YouTube.com/addictivewellness. So wherever you are, check us out, and we'll be sure to make it worth your while.
Amazing. I want to thank both of you so much for taking the time and sharing your beautiful energy and all your wisdom and information. Looks like AnnaBlanca has one more last thing.
When we get home, sorry, into the microphone. I'm leaning in because I want to get closer to you guys. When we get home, we're going to set up 10% for Rebel Hearts. So we should just use the code REBEL. So if you want to order something, just use the code REBEL and you get 10% off.
That is amazing. Thank you. Rebel Hearts, use your chocolate. Thank you so much for setting that up
So
for
I
us.
think, what should we do? REBEL?
REBEL.
Rebel,
There's your 10%
REBL.
off code.
Awesome.
Good
Here we
thinking,
go.
AnnaBlanca.
Thank you. Awesome. Fabulous. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you're doing, that you're bringing out into the world, and for your beautiful energy that you're bringing in.
We love
Thank
you.
you.
We love you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Rebel Hearts, that is it for today. So go online, eat the chocolate, get the elixirs, because they're absolutely incredible, amazing. We're going to go out and eat some chocolate and have some elixirs, I think, right now.
Yeah, chocolate party. It's about to happen.
And Jarvis is going to get to try some of this amazing chocolate now, too. He's giving us a thumbs up behind the camera over here. Yay. All right, people, that's it. We hope you got incredible information out of this, and are really, really inspired, again, to become the change that you want to see in the world. And hearing AnnaBlanca and Sage's story, I feel like it's such an inspiration to really go out and create co-create and follow your bliss and follow your dream. And we hope you're inspired to do that now. So have a wonderful week. We'll see you again next time. And remember to rebel on.
In the future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.